Good morning. Welcome back. It's Monday morning, and I'm here to discuss a few interesting developments that I saw on InfoWars last night. Alex Jones is constantly reminding us that the elite have this unwritten code of honor which compels them to release into the media or open sources detailing their plans of what's coming next. Okay, that's the whole thesis I'm developing here. Now, in May of last year, the CDC website began posting information on preparedness 101 for the zombie apocalypse. Okay, now I'm not talking about zombies like we think of in the classic movies like Night of the Living Dead, where corpses are coming back to life and trying to eat everybody. I'm talking more along the lines of a scenario we saw in the movie 28 Days Later and their follow-on film 28 Weeks Later. It would be a situation where human beings are infected with a virus which transforms them into homicidal murder machines. Alright, they lose all their humanity and go insane and attack any non-infected human around them. Alright, now this CDC blog post that I'm about to talk about, it's still online when you can view it. I'll include the link below as a caption in the video so you can see where to go to look at this. Now, I'm looking at the post right now. It's called Preparedness 101 Zombie Apocalypse, and it goes into the brief history of the zombies in the movies and the fictional explanations of how zombies could be created. Now, the interesting thing about the post today, looking at it, is it no longer includes discussion about how a virus like this could actually be created and released. It used to have a link in here to a National Geographic documentary page about the zombie apocalypse and how that could become possible. But I saved that link when I first saw it, when I came here last year, and started researching this idea. Okay, so now I'm looking at the National Geographic page, and again I will include the link in the caption in the video so you can see where to go and read this yourself. Now, the title here, it's the National Geographic Daily News. The headline is Zombie Virus Possible Via Rabies Flu Hybrid. Alright. It says here, though dead humans can't come back to life, certain viruses can induce such aggressive zombie-like behavior, say scientists in the new National Geographic Channel documentary, The Truth Behind Zombies. For instance, rabies, a viral disease that infects the central nervous system, can drive people to be violently mad, according to Samita Andreansky, a virologist at the University of Miami's Miller School of Medicine in Florida, who also appears in the documentary. Combine rabies with the ability of a flu virus to spread quickly through the air, and you might have the makings of a zombie apocalypse. Now, unlike movie zombies, which become reanimated almost immediately after infection, the first signs a human has rabies, such as anxiety, confusion, hallucinations, and paralysis, don't typically appear for 10 days to a year as the virus incubates inside the body. Once rabies sets in, though, it's fatal within a week if left untreated. If the genetic code of the rabies virus experienced enough changes or mutations, its incubation time could be reduced dramatically, scientists say. Many viruses have naturally high mutation rates and constantly change as a means of evading or bypassing the defenses of their hosts. There are various ways viral mutations can occur, for example through copying mistakes during gene replication or damage from ultraviolet light. If a rabies virus can mutate fast enough, it could cause infection within an hour or a few hours. That's entirely possible, Andreansky said. Now, airborne rabies would create the rage virus. But for the rabies virus to trigger a zombie pandemic like in the movies, it would also have to be much more contagious. Humans typically catch rabies after being bitten by an infected animal, usually a dog, and the infection usually stops there. Thanks to pet vaccinations, people rarely contract rabies in the United States today, and even fewer people die from the disease. For example, in 2008, only 2 cases of human rabies infection were reported in the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. A faster mode of transmission would be through the air, which is how the influenza virus spreads. All rabies has to do is go airborne, and you have the rage virus, like in 28 Days Later. Max Mogg, head of the Zombie Research Society, says in this documentary. The international non-profit is devoted to raising the level of zombie scholarship in the arts and sciences, according to the website. To be transmitted by air, rabies would have to borrow traits from another virus, such as influenza. Different forms or strains of the same virus can swap pieces of genetic code through processes called reassortment or recombination, said a virologist at Virginia Tech who was not involved in this documentary. But unrelated viruses simply do not hybridize in nature. Okay? Likewise, it's scientifically unheard of for 2 radically different viruses such as rabies and influenza to borrow traits. They're too different. They cannot share genetic information. Viruses assemble only parts that belong to them, and they don't mix and match from different families. Now, here is the interesting part. It is theoretically possible, though extremely difficult, to create a hybrid rabies-influenza virus using modern genetic engineering techniques, the University of Miami's Andriansky said. Sure, I could imagine a scenario where you mix rabies with a flu virus to get airborne transmission, a measles virus to get personality changes, the encephalitis virus to cook your brain with fever and thus increase aggression even further, and throw in the Ebola virus to cause you to bleed from your guts. Combine all these things and you'll get something like a zombie virus, she said. But nature doesn't allow all of these things to happen at the same time. You'd most likely get a dead virus. Okay, there they are, the disclaimer trying to say, oh hey, we could probably do it in a lab, but you know, it'd be hard to do. Now, I direct your attention to this. I found this on the homepage of Infowars.com last night. There was a link to the actual news article. It's no longer on the homepage of Infowars today, but I saved the link to the Miami Herald story. And the headline reads, Naked man killed by police near McArthur Causeway was eating the face off of his victim. It says here, it was a scene as creepy as a Hannibal Lecter movie. One man was shot to death by Miami police, and another man is fighting for his life after he was attacked and his face allegedly half-eaten by a naked man on the McArthur Causeway off-ramp Saturday, police said. The horror began around 2 p.m. when a series of gunshots were heard on the ramp, which is along Northeast 13th Street just south of the Miami Herald building. According to police sources, a road ranger saw a naked man chewing on another man's face and shouted on his loudspeaker for him to back away. Meanwhile, a woman also saw the incident and flagged down a police officer who was in the area. The officer, who has not been identified, approached and seeing what was happening also ordered the naked man to back away. When he continued the assault, the officer shot him, police sources said. The attacker failed to stop after being shot, forcing the officer to continue firing. Witnesses said they heard at least a half a dozen shots. Miami police were on the scene, which was just south of the Miami Herald building on Biscayne Boulevard. The naked man who was killed lay face down on the pedestrian walkway just below the newspaper's 2-story parking garage. Police have requested the Herald's video surveillance tapes. The other man was transported to the hospital with critical injuries, according to police. Their identities were not released. The incident, which came as crowds descended upon South Beach for the annual Urban Beach Week hip-hop festival, snarled traffic on the causeway for several hours. In a text message, Javier Ortez, spokesman for the Miami Police's Fraternal Order of Police, said the officer who fired the fatal shots was a hero. Okay, blah 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 blah. Now, police theorize the attacker might have been suffering from cocaine psychosis, a drug-induced craze that bakes the body internally and often leads the affected to strip naked and try to cool off. Alright. Now, I'm saying, what if the post started by the CDC last year is in fact an example of the elite telling us what they're about to do next? So, what if they have actually created a weaponized rabies that will act like a zombie virus that we see in the movie 28 Days Later? And what if this incident in Miami on Saturday is a test of such a compound? So I'm saying maybe we need to start paying attention to stories like this popping up in the media. Could be a precursor for something much bigger coming down the lane. We could pay attention to this one, for example, to see how the autopsy reports on the assailant turn out. Was he affected by rabies in any way? And the victim, if the victim survives this attack, did the victim come down with a rabies-like virus? Okay? I am not sounding the alarm that this is what's happening. I'm just saying the facts of that story, what little we know of it, would fit a zombie virus scenario. So, I suggest we go to Yellow Alert and start tracking this situation a little more closely, because other sources I've read on the possibility of this zombie virus being genetically engineered as a weapon indicate that the virus would have a 98% fatality rate. Since the global elite want to kill us all off, a zombie virus outbreak worldwide would be an excellent way of doing that. That's all I've got for now. Out here.